Today we're making some pumpkin cinnamon sugar donuts. They're gluten-free, dairy-free, vegan, and paleo. We're making them refined sugar-free, but you can definitely swap out for a sugar-free substitute. We're going to get started by prepping all of our donut ingredients. So we need some pumpkin puree. We're going to scoop out 2/3 of a cup. And if you need other ideas on ways to use up your leftover pumpkin puree, you can check out our pumpkin playlist. We've got a couple different pumpkin loaves, as well as a pumpkin spice latte, pumpkin pie overnight oats, or even some pumpkin waffles. So let's grab a mixing bowl and we're going to combine all of our wet ingredients. We've got our pumpkin puree and some maple syrup, some olive oil or your oil of choice, some vanilla, and some apple cider vinegar. And we're just going to grab our whisk and we're going to mix this together. Once you've got it nice and smooth, then we can dump in all our dry ingredients. We've got almond flour, tapioca, or you can use arrowroot, some baking soda, sea salt, and pumpkin pie spice, or you can just use some cinnamon. Then we're going to mix this in. I made the mistake of using a whisk. It gets really thick and it gets stuck in my whisk. So at this point, I would switch to a spatula or a wooden spoon. And after it's nice and mixed and you don't see any more dry, what I like to do is grab a large measuring cup and a large freezer Ziploc bag, and it'll fit inside my measuring cup. And then I can use the spatula to get all of the batter into the bag. And then we're going to just trim off a corner and turn it into a giant piping bag. I find this is the easiest way to fill the donut pans. So we can put that aside now for a second while we prepare our pans. I really like these silicone donut molds. I spray them down with some olive oil, or you can do coconut oil and give it a brush. I do have a metal donut pan that I've used in the past, but I had trouble sometimes with certain paleo gluten-free recipes sticking, so I like to go with these silicone molds. They pop out really nice and easy. So I use brush, or I sometimes use a paper towel to make sure the oil is spread everywhere, especially around the center of each donut. I find that's where it likes to stick the most. Then you grab some scissors and we're going to trim off a pretty large hole the size of about 1/4. And then you can go pipe in your dough. Since it's a really thick batter, I find this pretty easy. If you have a really runny donut batter, say sometimes with a chocolate recipe, then I'd use a measuring cup to pour it in, but this works the best for this nice thick batter, keeps it nice and clean. And then after you've gone around and you have less than a donut amount left in your bag, then I like to go back and kind of divide up the remainder into the molds that I've already piped. And now your donuts are ready to go in the oven. We've got our oven preheated to 350 Fahrenheit, and we are going to bake these for 17 to 19 minutes. And in the meantime, we're going to get our shortening melted, because we're going to dip our donuts into the shortening and then into our cinnamon sugar mixture, or in this case, our pumpkin spice sugar mixture. When your donuts are done baking, you're going to want to let them fully cool in the molds. I find sometimes if I try to pull them out a little early, they will split in half. But we've let them cool, we've popped them all out, and now we're going to dunk them one at a time into our melted shortening. And then we're going to give them a good dusting of our pumpkin spice sugar mixture. And of course, feel free to substitute vegan butter or coconut oil instead of the palm shortening. And you can substitute a granulated sweetener of your choice for the coconut sugar as well. And if you don't have pumpkin pie spice, you can follow our recipe for a DIY mix or just use some cinnamon. So just keep going till you've coated them all. And then you can dig in and enjoy these right now as is. They are soft and fluffy and delicious, and they store really well in an airtight container in the fridge for several days, or if more than 3 days, toss them in your freezer.